Hey YouTube, welcome back! Or as my new YouTube hero Exactor would say, what's up people? As you can see, I have another unboxing to do today, and as you also have already read, this envelope came to me from Exiled Cutlery. I don't know if you ever have heard of Exiled Cutlery, maybe not because they're not a large company. If you were to go look for them right now, oh, you'd learn all kinds of things that, well, a lot of people on the forums don't like Exiled, especially they don't seem to like the guy who runs it, who goes by the initials JB. But you'd also learn that they make Balisongs. What's a Balisong? Well, if you don't know that, I can't help you. But so, well, probably most of you know what's a Balisong. Let's have a look. And you can buy their knives on a website called balisongknifekits.com. And so this is where this comes from too. And so in here there will not be a Balisong, there will be a Balisong kit. So here it says, right, from autoknife.com, also switchbladekits.com, also balisongbutterflyknives.com, also butterflyknifekits.com. All of this, and they have a pirate logo, and it comes in this in this tube. It looks like a test tube. And so I've corresponded with JB via email for a while, and so he helped me put together these parts for a kit. How to open this side? Any side? Nah. Other side? I hope all the parts will be in here. I also heard that sometimes they send the blades out separately, but Balisongs aren't actually illegal in my country, so you wouldn't have to do that. I can't seem to open this. Well, I'll cut that out and open it for you, okay? Alright, and back we are. I had a really hard time opening this, so in the end I just cut this open here. And then of course it was no problem. But now let's get to the meat, shall we? So here is more packaging. Let's see what's in there. All kinds of parts. Here are some blue aluminum scales. Now I say, oh no, aluminum, that's gonna be really light. Well, yes, it's gonna be a lighter Balisong. That's not really going to be a knife that will be perfect for flipping. It's also a bit short, right? Only 5 inches. If I wanted a knife that's perfect for flipping, I'd go for something else. But because Balisongs aren't illegal where I live, I could actually just carry this knife, and this is what this is for. So there are 4 blue aluminum scales. Let's see the front side, if they're all okay. Yes, they all, yeah, they seem good. Now here, all kinds of screws and stuff. There's a pocket clip too. Again, maybe that's not something you need for a knife that's for flipping. You maybe go for no pocket clip. The pocket clip is fairly long. It goes here. Alright, fairly long. I choose the one that was listed as the longest. And you know, with holes in it, I think that looks pretty cool. All kinds of screws. Little washers and stuff. Here's a spring. The spring is for this latch. That is an adjustable ledge. JB from the company told me I should get this adjustable one because that would fit better with the aluminum scales. Then here are some, what are those called? Bearing washers. There should be 4, but anyway, I can show you. These are, I think, these have steel balls in them, and then there are brass bodies, brass casings. There will be 4, one for each side. There are some bushings here. They go into the holes in the blade. I have here 2 sizes bushings, because, well, the longer one is what the company recommends. But I was wondering if maybe I should still go longer than that, if maybe I can squeeze them both in there or not. I have to experiment with the stack of parts, so right, the pivots, and then having the washers on there, and these bushings. Here, this is part of the pivot. That is as they call sex bolt, right? Because there is a female side and a male side that have to go together. There will of course also be two, and they have a male side that has to go into it. In fact, these aren't conventional sex bolts because there are 3 parts, not 2 parts. There's another little set screw that goes in here, which, well, Exiled says they invented that. They said it on their website. Let's just believe that for now. What else is there? Here we have these are the tang pins. They have to be pressed or hammered into the blade. Let's see how good that, how easy that will be. So they are knurled in the middle so that they will stick in the hole, but you have to press them in with force. See how if I can do that. All right, so I put all that back here now. These little screws and stuff. Have to put all that together. Here are spacers. They go between the liners, between the scales. And then there's still a blade here. So just rip it open. It's fine, right? This blade, mirror polished. So there's not much on here. There's this pirate logo on here, and on the back side, there's nothing. This blade is marketed on an Exiled's website as S35VN and also hand sharpened by some company in Colorado. Cool. Let's see if it's good. Whoa. Here's a piece of paper. See if that's any good. It's definitely smooth and it cuts, so yeah. I mean, it's a bit weird to hold it right this way. Let's see the front. Oh yeah, well the front is definitely pretty sharp. The back side, yeah, I mean it's sharp. I mean, maybe it's not the sharpest blade I ever had, but it is pretty sharp. Not scary sharp, but it is very, very sharp. Okay, good. So, I mean, you always do that on camera. Maybe not scary sharp, not quite sure, but it is pretty sharp, so that's fine. Well, and that's all that came in this kit. And now I have to, put these parts all together. I know what to do. If you're a bit handy, then you won't have problems doing this kind of thing. Okay, and that's all the things that came from Exiled Cutlery to me. A Balisong knife kit. Swoosh! Here we are again. For you, no time has passed. For me, a lot of time actually has passed. Many days. But here we are now with the finished result. So I've put all the parts together, and this is what the Balisong looks like now. It is obviously still blue, and it looks like this. So I'm going to show you a few features here, and I also show you the things that I like about it and the things that I don't like so much about it. So first of all, the construction is this. I have put the pocket clip on this side because as a right-handed person, if I want to carry this knife in my front right-hand pocket, I want the pocket clip to be on the left and the loose part to be on the right. So if that would accidentally open, that would open towards the outside of my pants. I saw on the website, Exiled's website, that they always put the clip on the other side, which probably also has some benefit, but I don't know what it might be. So I also have the spring latch attached here, right? So that is now set correctly so that when you squeeze the knife just a bit, this latch opens, and that is good. I cannot flip that knife very well in front of the camera, but I'll show you these things nonetheless. So now here you see this is the back side really, right, where all the not so pretty screws are, where the pocket clip is. However, the presentation side of the blade is also here on this side. Now I've put it, it's because of that pocket clip issue that the blade is like this, right? Otherwise you would have this on the presentation side, the company logo, but I preferred it this way. So now on the presentation side there's absolutely nothing, which is good too, you know, don't get me wrong. And in fact, one thing that I like is that the blade has hardly any markings on it. So you have here the Exiled Pirate Cross and Bones logo. On the right side there it says S35. On the left side, and on the right side it says USA. It's very small, it's laser engraved, and the engraving is, you know, not super crisp, but it's there. It's pretty. It's okay. You know, just not like what you would see on a Spyderco, whatever, right? It's okay. So, but that is now on the back side, not on the presentation side. But I like it that way. The blade is very nicely done and finished, and, you know, hand sharpened. I'll talk about that in a second. The scales are pretty nice. Still, I've already said that. They are still in very good condition. However, I did manage to scratch it once. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Yes. While I was assembling a knife, I did put a scratch in here. I thought of all kinds of schemes to cover this up with a design later, but actually I'm not going to do that, because the knife, when you're flipping it, right, I will probably drop it. The parts naturally wear themselves in and scratch the scales also, like here, right? So that there's a scratch there now, I'll just leave it. It's okay. Right, so the scales are nice, the blades are nice. The pivots, I noticed that they are indeed a clever design. They kind of, you know, set themselves up correctly. Once you assemble this, they tighten and set themselves the correct way automatically due to design. That is pretty nice. However, there are also some things that I really didn't like so much, and still don't like. Well, the biggest gripe that I had is that these are not the original tang pins that I got with the knife. These are wider ones, larger tang pins that I had to get from Exiled after the fact, right? Because the tang pins that I originally got are these. They are press fit, so I had to hammer them in, which was not such a big problem, you know. I made a little rig for it of wood so that the blade would sit in there, and I hammered those in. However, they were not wide enough. Open and close, the pins would just sit in between, and the handles would hit each other, and the back of the blade would hit the standoff spacer. Not an issue, but of course that's not how it's supposed to be, and the latch wouldn't fit, right? Because that's not how it's supposed to be. And they were quite a bit too small, so there was nothing I could do. I just had to get new pins, different pins from Exiled, and that worked okay too, right? I emailed them, asked them about the issue. They said, yeah, you could mushroom them, right? Hammer them, the old pins, hammer them down really hard that they would become wider. But I said, yeah, but that's not gonna do. It's just too much room here. I can't do that. So I did get new pins. Yeah, well, I did pay for them. They did have to send them to me. The price was okay, right? They did give me a steep discount on these, but they're also now much nicer pins. You know, that's something that probably has something to do with this being not a kit. This is not a pre-designed kit from their website, right? I put all these parts together myself, designed my own kit. So maybe this is due to this fact that not everything is 100% thought through. Now, another thing that I don't like has something to do with this too. Maybe it's the reason why this is. You see here, so you see here the bearings, and they are nice and all. But if you see here that the blade and the scales, they have a bit of well, how to say it? They have a bit of play here. So it's the pivot inside the blade and inside the bushing, brass bushing, has a little bit of a room still to wiggle, and the other side too. It's not that the scales are loose or anything. It's just that the holes and for the parts that go through it are a little bit large. Um, I don't know if that's by design or if that has to do with this particular blade. It's not that it's impairs the function or anything. Maybe it's there for design, I don't actually know. Maybe it's there for better flipping action, but I don't think so. It's, well, yeah, it's at times. So, surprising jump cut. For you, no time has passed. For me, a few more days have passed again. The issue that I just showed you, I really wasn't happy with that, so I had to work on this again, and now I'm satisfied. So I'm going to show you what I did. So the issue I just showed you, right, that there would be a little bit of room between the well, in the hole for the pivot axis. I worked on this again, and now there's still a little bit of wiggle room, but significantly less, maybe 50% less. So you can now see them move a little bit, but this is now totally acceptable. How did I do that? Well, I used what is called Teflon tape or plumber's tape. This particular roll was maybe, I don't know, 50 cents. So inside here is the Teflon tape. It's very thin, and well, so it's Teflon, I assume, so it doesn't degrade easily or wear off. And it's very thin, so it binds together with each layer with itself. So you can use that, inside screw holes or things like that to make it tighter. So here, right, how did I use this? You have here the pivots going through, of course, and on each side you have the bushings. Well, these are basically unaffected, right? But inside the blade, there's also still a brass bushing. I showed you these in the very beginning, the little brass rings. And so inside that brass bushing, the pivot goes through, and so I could put some layers of tape between those two things, between the pivot and the brass bushing here right in the middle. So now there's significantly less play, and that has lots of benefits. The Teflon tape also helped me with some other issues. Well, the second issue that I really didn't like was that the knife, as it were, did a lot of clicking and twang, like the spring, no, the latch, well, the spring of the latch would do a lot of twang sound. You might have heard it earlier. Now, I also have reduced that a whole lot with the Teflon tape yet again. How? So first of all, I hope you can see that. I cut myself a little plastic washer to go in here. I used to have two, but they were too thick. That's, well, basically credit card material, right? So from your old discarded card, cut out a little piece, make a hole in it, cut it round, sand it off a little bit, and then that'll fit. Make your own plastic washer, that's fine. But yet again, Teflon tape was used between the pivot and the actual hole in the latch. So that now still works just as well as before, but with less twang. There's of course still a bit of sound. It's not a stealth operation, but that's now much more, well, pleasant to listen to than the twang than it had before. The whole knife now does a lot fewer of clicking. Again, right, the same issue. I can't really flip this well in front of the camera, But the point is, there's now less clicking, which is good. And so now I have to continue my review just as it were. Of course, I had filmed the whole slot already, but I wasn't happy. And I have still other things to talk about. So originally, I didn't want to touch the whole pivot construction one more time, because I was scared that with experimenting with it more, I would strip those bolts, right? You put a lot of torque on these to get them really tight. There is a chance that you might strip them. And while Exiled provided me with extra bolts for like these here and maybe these, I think. So for basically all the other bolts, not the pivots, and also not the tank pins, were extras, right? And you already know I had problems with the tank pins too. So I didn't want to work on this in fear I would twerk the heads on the pivots, and well, they are now that I have experimented with it for a long while, they are now a bit damaged, but that's acceptable. I feel that's okay, right? It was a struggle for me to get this knife to a acceptable tightness. One more thing that I thought was useful that I did is that I made myself my own custom very thin washers to go in here, to go under this panhead screw, because I think the panhead screw would wear itself deeper into the aluminum scale, right? Because the aluminum is obviously softer. So I made myself my own custom washers from a soda can, the top part of a soda can. So again, right, cut a small piece, make a hole in it, cut it to size, fit it in here, so that now the panhead screw has something to dig into, but not the aluminum. So now there is a bit of play. If I'm imagining the whole, everything you see here as the hands of a large clock, and that this is the minute hand. Maybe there's now, I don't know, on this handle 20 seconds of play. Of course, a mechanical clock doesn't actually tick 20 seconds, only ticks minutes, right? But maybe not much, 20 seconds, and on the other hand, maybe 30 seconds, a little bit more on the bite handle. So this is now acceptable here too, right? You can see it. This is now very good. Not much play here, and I'm happy that I achieved this. But I can tell you, it was a struggle. It took me, I don't know, five tries maybe to get this right. But so I'm giving you, my experience. I wouldn't call it advice, but my experience, right? How I dealt with the aluminum scales being softer. They are solid quality scales, right? It's not that they'll bend or anything, but simply the steel, I think, will eat into the holes. So right, I made myself some washers for it. And I told you about the Teflon tape, right? And so now I'm quite happy with it. Another advice that I can give you is, when you're putting together your own Balisong, make all the things like the latch and the pivots, make them really tight, right? Because you think, oh, after a day, yeah, man, that's way too tight. Yes, but after like a week, it will have probably settled to the correct tightness. All those things still settle. And if you were to make it perfect in the beginning, then you'll have it too loose soon thereafter. Maybe a few days after, a week after, you'll have it too loose. So right when I now finally found the right setting, they were perfectly tight, right? As the thing that I showed you with the seconds, they were perfectly tight maybe a week ago, and now they have still developed a bit of this wiggle. It's not that they are looser now. I can tell the pins, the pivot pins haven't actually moved. It's just they have still worn themselves in more. Maybe you won't have problems like this with the titanium, who knows. But so this is my experience. Now, do I have other things to talk about? Now you ask me, hey, do you actually recommend building your own Balisong like this with these exiled parts? Um, I can tell you that the parts were good quality, right? Especially the scales are really nice. The blade, the S35 VN blade that I received is really nicely done, right? Good sharpening job. Also, it's a useful blade shape, right? Not too pointy because that's not good for a Balisong, right? You know, hit the back of your finger. You don't want that to be too pointy. Everything, this is well thought out. It's a good quality part. These pivots, while they're not perfect, right? While they are not the most perfect pivots in the world, they are still very good quality. The tank pins that I now have, they're also pretty nice. The original ones that I received, I showed you that already. Well, they were not as nice as these. So would I recommend getting a Balisong and putting it together yourself? Maybe. It depends if you're up for the task. It's not as easy as you might assume, right? All these parts fit together in theory, but also there is still lots of work you have to do, and you know, you have to not be too afraid of doing those things, and you have to tweak and haggle with the parts, and you know, to get it just right. Not everyone is up for this, right? Not everyone has the time or wants to invest this time into something, well, as mundane and selfish as just putting their own knife together, right? If you maybe want to just walk into a store and buy yourself a Benchmade on Alpha Beast, then, well, all more power to you, right? I cannot afford those things, but I'm also happy I had the chance to do this. I'm happy I put my own parts together. So if you're up for it, well, then I guess you're up for it, and it's recommended. If you are not sure if you can do this, well, then maybe think twice about it. You can of course buy knives from Exiled, readily built, right? If maybe that's better. I don't think they'll actually charge you much extra or any at all. I'm not sure. Um, so that's that. But I'm happy I had the challenge. So the last thing I want to say is that now in my course of action, right, getting this custom kit designed and getting all the parts, and then later getting extra tang pins, I had to deal with JB from Exiled, Mr. JB, apparently the boss there, and I found him quite pleasant to deal with, right? A little bit terse, if you know what that means. But you know, he seems to be a straightforward, no bullshit, nice guy. So when you read on the forums that he is nuts or delusional or something like that, well then I cannot attest to that, right? He seems pretty normal and sane and nice to me, so you don't have to be scared of him. And that is now, I think, everything I have to say to the Exiled Balisong kit, custom parts Balisong kit that I have put together, and I'm happy I have, but I'm also pretty worn out now. I don't think I can do another one anytime soon. So that's that. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.